I'm Sonya Dunbar, and welcome to another exciting episode of Suave and Sassy Seniors with Sonya. And I'm so excited to be here today. Now, just in case this is your first time seeing the show, let me tell you a little bit of what the show is about. This show highlights seniors living their best life, doing everything and anything they wanted to do, and they're doing it big. Because many times people feel as we age, we fade. And a lot of times people don't even pay attention to elderly people or aging people. But we have a wealth of knowledge and wisdom and excitement that we bring to this planet. So on this show, we highlight seniors doing great things. And today I have a very special guest. I have an amazing guest that I'm excited to bring on. So come on. Hello, how are you?
I'm fine. How are you?
I'm amazing. First of all, I want to tell you thank you for being a guest on our show today.
Well, thank you for inviting me.
When I first seen you, I seen you on Facebook and in a magazine saying you were the hat lady that wore all these amazing hats on Zoom doing church service during the pandemic.
I am still getting some results from having done that. In fact, just yesterday, there's this magazine called In Style, and they always do it twice a year. They identify you as a badass 50. And so I was number 15 of 50 women that they classified as badass because of the hats that I wore and all the attention that I have been given over the past 4 or 5 months.
So what made you so we're going to talk a little bit about hats, but I'm gonna put the hats on the shelf right now.
Okay.
So you were wearing some, like you say, badass hats. Hats for everything. And I have two hats down here that I want to see if I can get your seal of approval on before we get off this show.
Okay.
Yeah. You've worn hats throughout your life as far as what you've done. Your resume is extensive. So the hats is just, I believe that what's on the outside is just something that has oozed from what's on the inside. So you look phenomenal, stylish on the outside, but what's on the inside is amazing. So could you just give us a little history of what you've done and about your career? Because no one can talk about it like you can.
Okay. Well, first of all, I am a graduate of the University of Tulsa, and my BS degree was in clinical psychology, and I really wanted to pursue that. But because you had to have a master's degree before you could do anything with it, I did not do that. And I had a friend in Chicago that told me that Chicago needed teachers. And as long as you had a BS degree and at least 12 hours in education, they will hire you as a teacher. So on August the 28th, 1963, the very famous day that Dr. Martin Luther King was giving his I Have a Dream speech, I was on my way to Chicago on the train to Tulsa for my first teaching experience. They assigned me to a first grade class. It was a brand new school, Julius C. Lathrop on South Christiana in Chicago. And I started teaching first grade, and I fell in love with those children. So I decided, well, maybe I should be a teacher. So then I met this guy from Tulsa, and he was a policeman here in Tulsa and did not want to move to Chicago. And he said, if you want to marry me, you'll have to move back to Tulsa. So I moved back to Tulsa, and I didn't have the certification to teach. So I had to go back to school and get my certification for teaching. And then when I went back to school, since my major had been clinical psychology, then they said I was close to teaching the students who had the special needs. And so they assigned me to a school at Lowell Junior High, and I started teaching the educable mentally handicapped children. And I did that for about 3 or 4 years before I started my upward mobility to become an adjustment counselor. And what an adjustment counselor was, we had just started to desegregate the school, and my task was to mediate conflicts with and between and among students, as well as parents and teachers and anybody else affiliated with the school. So I did that for about 3 years, and then I became a regular school counselor on to a guidance dean. Following my guidance dean time with the school district, I became an assistant principal at a junior high school, and I did that for about 3 years. And I always like to laugh when I say that because seemingly every 3 years I was changing positions, and I thought, well, I wonder if people think I cannot keep a job. But anyway, I did the assistant principal at a junior high for 3 years, and I was reassigned to a high school. And at that high school, as an assistant principal, and also, unfortunately, the principal had a heart attack. And so they put me in there as an interim high school principal. And I did that for about 6 months and then stayed there at that high school for another 2 years before I was assigned to the principalship at Carver Junior High. And the thing that was so wonderful about that assignment was that I had gone to that school as a junior high student myself. And so to go there as the principal was just wonderful. So I stayed at Carver as the principal for about 4 years. And then I was reassigned to the central office as a director of middle schools. At that time, all of our junior high schools, we had about 17 at the time. They were changing from the junior high concept to the middle school concept. So I became that middle school director to help to transform those schools from a junior high emphasis to a middle school emphasis. Following that, when they changed superintendents, then the superintendent thought I should be then the director over the gifted and talented alternative programs, summer school, and several other things. And I did that for about 3 years until he left. And then when the next superintendent came in, he said, well, I think you need to become an assistant superintendent for curriculum and instruction. And I did that for about maybe 4 or 5 years and then went on to become the deputy superintendent. And then when that superintendent who placed me in the assistant superintendent position left to go out of state, then I became the interim superintendent for about 6 months. And then after that, when the permanent superintendent was identified, then he placed me as assistant principal for ombudsman and that kind of thing. So I've had a glorious career, and I like to tell people I did everything at the central office but drive the bus. But I did various positions and loved them all.
Wow, that is an extensive resume. And let me go back to the beginning.
Okay.
First thing you said is the man said, if you want to marry me, you have to move back. What we do for our men. Isn't that
absolutely?
You left a whole state for your man. But that was the good move, right?
It was. Because not only that, my parents still lived here in Tulsa. So I was glad to come back later on as they aged and needed my care. So it worked out just fine. And the man that I did leave Chicago for, we were married for 44 years before he died in 2009. So it worked out just fine.
44 years. Well,
yes,
he helped pivot you to a very successful career. And I know you enjoyed 44 amazing years of marriage, right?
I did. And he was very, very supportive and always encouraging me to go back to school, get this degree and those kinds of things. So it was beautiful. I loved it.
And that's great because oftentimes in some marriages, one of the spouse will not support and push the other, but that is so important and so needed. My husband and I, we work together every day, and he's the wind beneath my wings, and we push each other. So it's important when you have a partner that can push you.
It certainly is. I agree.
Do you all have any children?
No. Now he had a previous marriage, and he does have 2 children that I maintain contact with them even today. I was a good stepmother.
No, I like to call it a bonus mother. How about that?
Well, yes, I know that's what that's the term they're using now. I've noticed that.
Now, let me say this one thing, that you're so humble because you've received so many awards. Educating is so important. And I know there are a lot of educators watching this show. I have a lot of friends that are educators. So educators are so important. But and looking at your resume, you had a library named after you in honor of you, right?
I did. In fact, it was the high school that I graduated from. And at the time, there was a new school to be built. Now, Booker T has been around since 1913, but they built a new facilities back around 2001. And I was the coordinator of the design team. And so I did that. And then they thought, well, since I had done, and I'm quoting, such an excellent job, they would name the library in my honor. So, yes, there is the Dr. Laverne Ford Wimberly Media Center at Booker T. Washington High School, my alma mater.
And that's amazing because presidents get libraries named after them. But I've met a woman that looks like me with a library name. I'm feeling myself. I'm feeling myself. I've met a woman that looks like me. I don't know anyone else with a library named after them. And I'm delighted to meet you. And I'm so excited that you have that done. So what other awards have you received?
Oh, I received them, of course, from my sorority, Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority Incorporated. I have received several awards through them and other fraternities. And I also was the coordinator of the 75th anniversary at my church. So I received recognition for that, for doing the march, doing the Women's March about 2 years ago. But and then of course I received several awards for working in the community as a volunteer, serving on several boards. So I do have a long history of community service, and so I have been acknowledged as a result of being committed to helping my community out.
That is so amazing. Now, let me ask you this. If there's a young person on here that's trying to pursue a career in education and want to climb the ladder like you and want to make a difference, what could you tell them that they could do to pivot in that direction?
I would tell them, first of all, is to get as much education as you can and seize every opportunity that you have been given and take advantage of those opportunities. And even if you think that you don't have the capacity to fulfill it, then network with those who can help you and to assist you, but never turn down an opportunity to progress with any careers that you have. But education, we need committed people in education and those who love children and that will nurture children. And if that's in your heart, then I say stay in there and then network with the associates and your colleagues, and you'll get there eventually.
Let me ask you this. What do you think COVID has done to the face of education with our children being out so long? With your extensive history of educating, and you know how important the classroom is for students. A lot of people, that's controversial. Some people feel that homeschooling is better, but what do you feel COVID has done to education?
I
Or
think it has put some limitations on the students as well as the parents because they do not have the background and the knowledge of teaching. And so naturally, it's going to have an effect on children. And one thing is perhaps they may lack structure in their home on how to have a time span on when that's to be taken care of. So I would say that the majority of youngsters may have some deficiencies when they return to school back in the fall. And I just hope that all schools are prepared to offer tutoring, after school sessions, Saturday sessions, whatever it takes to make up for the time lost during the time of COVID. But it's going to be a real tremendous impact negatively for many of our youngsters. And I do have a concern about that. But hopefully, and I'm sure that the schools are taking that into account and doing what needs to be done to help them to get back to the level where they were and go beyond that level.
now, ma'am, you look amazing. Do you mind sharing your age with us?
I don't mind at all because I call it a blessing each day that I live. I am 82 years old and I'm hoping to live my goal, if the Lord's will, is to live to be 100 independently without any assistance in my own home and taking care of my own personal needs. That's my goal for right now. And I'm just hoping, as they say in church, the Lord says the same.
And that's what. Now let me ask you this. So, what your for you now? I work in long-term care facilities. I provide dental services to residents in nursing homes, and I see people younger than you, and your mind is so sharp. I used to hear when I was a younger lady. I used to hear the older women in church saying, "I thank God for a sound mind," and I never really paid attention to that because I was younger. I was in my early 20s, and they would say, I thank God for a sound mind. I was like, I'm thanking God just for being healthy. But I understand now what they mean by a sound mind because, you know, your body can go away, but having your mind and knowing what's going on is so important. And that's the biggest thing that scares me about aging because you don't know where you might end up. So how do you keep your mind so sharp? And how do you look so good? You don't even look like you're 82.
Well, I do several things. First of all, I like to work puzzles, and I work puzzles, jigsaw puzzles, and I do brain teasers and all those kinds of things. But I think one of the great keys is to stay connected, stay involved with people and network and read. And as I indicated earlier, I am still on a couple of boards now where I am the chairman. I am the chairperson of the Greenwood Culture Center. I'm also the chairperson of our board of trustees at church, vice chair of the Booker T. Washington Hall of Fame, and a member of the Booker T. Washington Hall of Foundation for Excellence, and of course the sorority. So I think and I'm the vice chair of the Tulsa City County Library Commission, but staying involved and being a part of your world and your community helps you a lot. And also exercise. I exercise usually 5 to 6 days a week because I read something long time ago that if you exercise, that keeps the oxygen flowing to your brain. And I want as much flowing to my brain as possible. So exercise, staying connected, and being networking with other people, I think, are the keys to success. And then also keep your goals. Plan your goals, get you a vision board as to where you want to be 2 years from now, 5 years from now, and try to make that happen. But you've got to work at it. It's nothing that will not come just because you're there, but you're going to have to engage in activities that will help you flourish and stay active.
Wow. Okay, so first of all that you're doing, I was tired when you were saying all that, all those committees. I was tired. I was like, I don't even know how you have time to do all of that. But I understand being active, and that's so important. A lot of seniors stay home, they don't leave their homes, and they stay in the house, and that kind of slows your mind down. So thank you for sharing that. Now, let's get to the good part.
Okay.
What was up with you wearing those hats? What was up with you showing out like that on Facebook, on Zoom at church like that? Okay, so first of all, when churches were shut down, we were doing church every day. Most of the people had their cameras off. They wasn't even showing their camera. So, because they probably were still in bed. Now, personally, me, I'll get up and get dressed every day. My husband and I, we both, even when I was working from home, I would get up, put full makeup on. I'm going in the office like I'm going to work.
Right.
But everyone is not like that. So what was in you that made you do those hats? And them hats was matching the suits. The suits matched the hats. What was going on? Talk to
me. For many, many years, I've always dressed that way, and I've always worn hats to church. My mother loved hats, and so I think I picked it up from her. And I thought the first Sunday on March the 29th, 2020 was our first Sunday that we had streaming. And I thought, oh, I don't want to get into a habit of slouching around or just don't care. I want to just kind of keep myself motivated. So I thought, well, I'll just go ahead and dress anyway. And since I am a social media junkie and I had been on Facebook for many years and have several friends, I thought I'll just put that out there on Facebook. So I did and received several, of course, likes and that kind of thing. So then the following Sunday, I thought, well, I'll just do this again. And I didn't realize that it was going to be a whole year that we were going to be confined to our homes and not being able to go to church. But then the more I put myself out on Facebook, the more they start talking about how I looked and all those kinds of things. And I thought, well, that's not really what I want them to focus on. I need to do something for them to focus on because we were missing church. And although some of us were streaming, so I thought, well, I'll just do some kind of devotional to keep everybody's spirits up, including my own, during the time that we were confined. And so I would put out those little devotional messages. And so everybody started liking those. So I decided, well, every Sunday I'll just continue. And I did it for 52 Sundays straight. And I just wore what I would normally would have worn had I been going to church, because that's the way I was brought up, and that's the way I went to church every Sunday. Then I kept a list. Now, one thing I might say that I have always kept a list of what I wore, and I started that when I was teaching in Chicago to make sure I was not wearing the same thing twice in 1 week. So I just made sure that I wasn't repeating everything from week to week, and it had to be something different. And that's vanity, I'm sure.
That's not vanity. That's just boss. You just bossed up. You leveled up. You bossed up. So it's not vanity. And if you have it like that, you just have it like that. If you had enough clothes to wear like that, you just had it like that. So that's pretty amazing. And thank you for sharing that story. And I just like the fact that you said, and that's something that I think some generations may have lost. You said that you just didn't want to slouch around. You wanted to show up.
Right.
You showed up like a lady every Sunday.
Right.
Like you wanted to, like you felt like you wanted to. And that's you. You do just what you want to do because you grown, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah. You can do what you want to do because last I checked, you was grown. 82 about that.
82, yes. Mm-hmm.
Now, I have to get your approval on my hats because you the hat lady. So everybody need to get your advice on hats. So I don't have hats like you, and my clothes do not match my hats because I'm not right there yet. Okay, so tell me if this is okay. How's this one right here? Okay, so I kind of pull this over the.
Oh yes, I like to put mine to the side too. Yeah.
Yes.
Will
this work?
It works.
Okay, so I won't even move. See, I won't wear this to church because I won't even praise the Lord. I'll be in there like this. I'm like, so this is good.
That's good. Yeah.
And I just wear this like with a cream suit, kind of tailored, fitting that body right. That okay?
Cream or brown, either one. Looks like it's brown. Is that are the colors brown?
Brown and that's a little bit of brown.
And a little tan, right? Uh-huh. Mm-hmm.
We got that.
Yeah, that's neat. I like it.
You're gonna like this one. You're gonna like this one because this gonna be right up your alley, right here. Boom.
Oh boy. Yes.
I know you like that one. Okay, see now I'm funny with this one because I don't like that picnic look, but I can hook it like, let me see. I like that side. I don't got that side. I don't know. I don't like this one. What do you think?
Well, one thing you could do is if you have a nice brooch, you can always use a brooch and pull up whatever it is you want like to that? Do. And I do that often. I'll put a brooch on it and fix it the way I want it to hang over my head. But now that's neat. Yeah.
I think I got, see, it's something about, I want to have that eye because I think I'm macking. You know,
right.
I think I'm feeling myself. I'm doing all right here. That right there, all that right there. That's good. Right.
Yes, good. Yeah, I could use that one in my AKA program.
I know. That's why I really like that. That's why I'm not feeling that right there. Okay, so let me ask you this. At every show, we asked our guests to give us some nuggets. Because not only do we have seniors watching this show that feel that that they can't move around and do things, but for sure, you've showed us at 82, you're doing everything that you want to do, and that's keeping you going. So that's one part of it that we want to leave a nugget, but also we want to leave a nugget for our younger generation. We want to leave something that they can hold close and dear to their heart, some sort of wisdom that they can take away. That's one thing I love about working in long-term care facilities. I get to talk to people that's 80 and 85 and 90. If you've lived on this earth 90 years, you could tell me something, even if it's something bad that I know I'm not going to do. Does that make sense?
It does. It does. Well, one thing that I've always told my students, and I got it, of course, from my mother, is to give to yourself the best that you can, and the best will come back to you. That means that whatever you want in life, if you put your heart and soul in it and give it your best, then your outcome will be favorable and it will be best coming right back to you. But you've got to do the work. You've got to jump in there and do it. But if you do your best, it will show up back in you exactly as you envisioned it.
Thank you so much. Now, is it doctor?
Yes.
See, now why we need to, that need to be on your title, doctor. See, you don't even be saying everything. And I also seen on there Harvard. Did you do some teaching at Harvard University? Or
I did some summer courses there during the summer. They have little workshops, little 2-week workshops that you get to go to. And of course, I love to say that I went to Harvard.
Well, if you did, then you say it. If
And
you
I
can,
also,
then you say it. That's it.
and I also did it at Yale as well one summer when I was also in the school district as well. Yeah, yeah.
I won't even try to. I'm not even gonna try to put my toe on those grounds. I'm not. I won't even say a word. But I feel honored to have you on our show. I feel honored to have met a lady that's so esteemed, a lady. Not everybody could be called a lady. Thank you for all you've done for women, all that you've done for education, and all that you've done to have us leveling up at that church level, showing up like you did. And thank you so much because, like I said, we see the hats and the outfit, and that's the outside. But the inside is just as beautiful and just as smart and just as sharp as you appear on camera.
I have just really enjoyed being on your show this morning.
Thank you so much. And we've so enjoyed having you on our show and keep doing great things. And now, are you all back in service?
Yes, in fact, tomorrow will be our first. Now, we did start about a month ago, but you had to register, and we only limited the number until 200. But tomorrow is our first fully open time, so everybody will be able to come back. So it should be a real nice service.
You're going to be wearing your hat.
Of course.
And you give a shout out to your church. Can we get the name of your church?
Of course, Metropolitan Baptist Church in Tulsa, Oklahoma. The Reverend Dr. Ray A. Owens is our senior pastor.
All right. Thank you for being here. God bless you. Stay safe and stay courageous.